fair question.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of insight. So we were given access to the Vassal kind of like private testnet or dev testnet, and we got some nodes running up, but we haven't actually um, ran our smart contracts against it. We've been really focused on getting our smart contracts feature complete and ready for audit. So we've been evaluating our delivery plan. The Vassal hard fork, the delay and everything does affect our timeline a little bit, but we also have been doing, like I said, a lot of evaluation of our delivery plan and trying to find the right balance of, the time that Vassal is launching as well as when we are going to be able to launch the protocol. So, yeah, I don't know if I can give anything set in stone yet, but it does affect us. But I would say just slightly, not too much.
Yeah, to expand on that, I think so. It does affect us, but it doesn't affect us too much when it comes to being feature complete. It more affects us when it comes to doing like the optimization and then the protocol. That's what specific features, which we do need to launch, and it will affect our audit timeline, which inevitably will affect our actual mainnet launch. But when it comes to the testnet, that shouldn't be altered too much. And then we are still on track to be feature complete pretty soon. But yeah, this Vassal hard fork, because we need those features to be live on the blockchain for us to update and actually launch, like that is going to cause a bit of a delay in the actual mainnet launch.
Okay, so we are still rooting for that August. Most probably, there might actually be shift regards to that as well.
I think in full transparency, August, the Vassal delay, though we can't put all the blame on that. The Vassal delay is going to be a piece of our end not being able to deliver by August. I just want to be transparent about that and start setting the expectation that August is not going to be a delivery date for Indigo. But I think the biggest piece of that which we found out yesterday, we met with Tweeg, who is a reputable firm who is performing audits of all the core code for the various protocols and dApps in the ecosystem. As you all know, some of you probably already know this and some may not, but Indigo did a first round of audits with Tweeg. We were the first app to be fully audited. This was last October. So we're a return client. We've had some code change since then, as you can imagine. It's important to us to go really as thoroughly as possible and have every bit of code audited before we go mainnet with it. That's a hard and fast rule of ours internally. We'll never push any code that's unaudited. So we met with Tweeg again yesterday to really nail down what our audit round 2 start date can look like. And as of right now, that's the end of August. So that alone pushes our dates, but that's out of our control. There's so much demand with Tweeg, with runtime verification, probably another 1 or 2 firms that I'm missing there. But it's entirely out of our hands. So even if we're feature complete, we wouldn't be able to go into audit right now anyway. So that's the biggest catalyst to us being having any sort of delay beyond August. But it's important that we take that critical step. And frankly, I don't know of anyone else who is having multiple series of audits of expense and process incurred on their team before they launch a mainnet protocol, but we are. And so it's important to us because we know that there's been changes to the code since we were audited. It would be completely wrong of us to cut a corner, give you all potentially a code with potential vulnerabilities. That's just not something we would ever consider doing. So it's really critical to us to get into the secondary audit as a return client with Twig. We hope that process, even though there's more code to review, will be an expeditious one and a more streamlined process than our original experience, being that we were the first dApp to get audited. It was a learning curve for Twig, it was a learning curve for us, but nonetheless, we still went through it. But yeah, so it's important to us to complete that step again so that we're completely audited from head to toe, all of our code, that is, before we go mainnet. So as of right now, like I said, that as of yesterday, that date that we were able to commit to and reserve is the end of August. So it'll probably be a 4-week time frame of the audit that basically triggers a code freeze. We go into full scale 4-week focus of audit, communicating with the Twig team, and then we have a little bit of time to basically review everything in the findings and implement the remedies of anything found, confirm that, and then we can go mainnet. I hope that's helpful for everybody just to understand full transparency where we're at. It's just critical to us to go that secondary step or that secondary audit as a step. Hey, Damon, thanks for joining.
And Pram, to answer your question. Oh, hey, Damon, how's it going?
Oh, doing pretty good. James kind of told me that this was happening, so I thought I'd jump in and say hello, especially since we're talking about auditing and stuff. And Eric, you just said you're not sure of other projects doing a second round, but we're doing the same. Our first audit was done in November, and obviously, same as you, things have been completely changed, and we're talking with a few different firms to get it re-audited before we go mainnet as well, especially also for our partners like you guys to feel fully trustworthy in our solutions for working with you. So we agree that that is a super, super important thing for the main set of DeFi applications coming in the first round at Cardano here.
Yeah, definitely. Kudos to you guys. It's a step where, unfortunately, there's other teams out there would cut that corner. They'd say, well, we did it once, or maybe not even at all. But that's on the user to also do their due diligence as well, in my opinion. But nonetheless, the fact that you guys are going through that process twice, double the expense, double the effort, double the workload, kudos to you guys for doing that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many projects rely on us or will be, so we feel like it's a necessary step for sure. And you're right, most that I've talked to just aren't even doing it at all. And I think that's irresponsible, to say the least. But I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about the new dApp store that IO presented at Consensus. In order to be a dApp within the dApp store, you have to have all of your audit detail. You have that certification criteria. So that gives the users within the dApp store a level of comfortability that is ensuring the dApps within the dApp store that they're accessing have crossed or taken that step to ensure that they have the security certification and audit certification. So I think that's a really helpful for the users in the community to kind of navigate the good, the bad, and the ugly out there.
Yeah, this is a really good feature that they're launching. And like another great aspect about this dApp store is that not only do they have like the audit verification, but they match up the audit with the version of like the deployed smart contracts on chain. So like when you do an audit, you're auditing very specific code, and then that dApp store is ensuring that that code that was audited is actually deployed to the blockchain. And then if a protocol upgrade occurs, then that audit essentially becomes invalidated, and the dApp store will tell you that the audit is out of date. And so this kind of protects users so that you know whether the protocol that you're actually using is verified by a third-party audit firm, so that new software that hasn't yet been audited isn't secretly just deployed to the blockchain, and then that is potentially a vulnerability for end users. So I think there's a lot of great stuff that is happening or coming to Cardano, and it's really great to see. And audits are going to be very critical for Indigo. Like before we publish any code on chain to the Cardano blockchain, we want to make sure that everything is audited. And then we'll also, because of the audits, we'll get that gold star in the dApp store.
Yeah, that's a great point about the any sort of code updates that get pushed on chain, that it would negate their audit certification and security certification if it wasn't audited. That was a question that actually the Indigo team brought up to the developers of the dApp store on the following Monday during the dev workshop. So that was really good to find out, because that was the first thing that crossed my mind was, well, how whether or not that kind of had that feature for ensuring that code isn't getting pushed that is not being audited, but still has that certification. So it's good to know that they've kind of thought that through for sure. And I know one thing that would be coming in the future with regards to that certification is an additional layer of, I guess, due diligence with regards to formal verification. And that's one thing with as complex as Indigo is going to be in future, like say V2, for example. I mean, I would say we're already fairly complex, but in a V2 launch, before we would launch V2, that's a step that we are going to be taking as well, as actual formal verification to ensure that the protocol is functioning outside of really auditing vulnerabilities in the code, but ensuring that other things are working as advertised and designed. So formal verification is a coming feature to that certification, I guess, criteria as well, and a step that Indigo will also take in future version launches.
Hi guys, I'm sorry, I'll have to run. I have a call, in this same hour. So I'll see you guys in the community after the call. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, man. See you. Thanks for being here. Damon, I don't know if you were here earlier, but there was a question about just kind of an update on Indigo's conversations at consensus with our partners, such as Charlie.
Okay.
And, I did discuss that, Indigo, due to the level of complexity of the integration, we are going to be really Charlie's first, what would be in a traditional tech world, a professional services scope and implementation. And that, what was offered by Charlie is, since we'll kind of be that first scale implementation to that degree, that you guys are kind of working with us on that. And since the professional services costs and things like that aren't really well defined because you haven't been through it yet, we're kind of going to be your beta on that implementation and rollout process. Kind of help work out the kinks with you guys. And but that's a concession that was generously offered by you all for us to kind of help you through the process to figure out what it looks like, everything that's entailed in an implementation and integration like that. So yeah, I was just kind of giving kudos to you guys for offering that up to us. And
we felt the same about you guys willing to work with us on it, instead of being like, hey, we're going to help you, pay us for it, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think it goes both ways, but I would agree with that, where you guys are the largest scale professional full service kind of partner that we have. Otherwise, that most people are just looking for the ADA USD price or ADA Bitcoin price, like not a lot of other stuff. Whereas you guys, like Indigo, will be using so many more points of data, and also obviously understanding your platform now more since our meeting, and how the users will choose what they want. That's an interesting case, but definitely doable. We've spoken with DXFeed since then and have another meeting set up next week to try and figure out our initial sets that way. We've also been talking recently that we might end up subsidizing like all feeds, not just the free price feeds off the beginning. So that would be fun, but we're just trying to figure out how that goes. And that's purely because if, like we mentioned to you guys, if we do the update, especially with the read-only UTXOs, it's kind of like out there for everyone, and then it's not fair to make one person pay for that, so we are trying to figure out all the those payment updates and figure out other revenue models for different sets. But it just like anyone, I mean, things continually change. This is Cardano. We're still getting ready. We're still getting set up. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're really excited for integration and partnership, a true partnership with you guys at Indigo, to make this happen, because I think we're two kind of larger set projects to make everything flourish and be an example for others through our work as individual projects and as part of the CDA as well.
Definitely, man. I'm anxious to see you guys mainnet. There's other Oracle solutions that have been hinted to. I know you guys probably field the Chainlink question all the time, but frankly, it's your game to lose. I feel you guys could absolutely dominate the entire decentralized Oracle landscape on Cardano to such a degree that Chainlink wouldn't even really spend the time or resources coming here. So I'm anxious to see you guys, come to fruition in that manner. And if we can help spearhead that, it's something that we're, our partnerships and collaborations mean a lot to us. And for us to help advance that, we'll happy to play the part, man.
Yeah, other projects feel the same. I mean, other chains have even talked to us and saying they don't even want to work with Chainlink anymore because of their exclusivity clause and stuff, and they want us to build on other chains as well. Like, what was the other one? VeChain talked to us, and we're like, well, we can't just bump over there that quickly, but it's nice to know how the ecosystem feels about those types of deals, and I guess it's funny to say like old world regime in crypto because it's only like 5 years old, but that's kind of how it's going right now. And the same thing with other Cardano partners, like they would prefer to support Cardano built projects over something else like Link. But multiple oracles is great for the space. I just think that we need our native ones first, just to make sure that everything's set. Obviously, there's a place for others when the EVM side chains pop up, like Mamba and even Milkomeda, if it gets rolling to a higher degree. But past that, yeah, we're excited to get that first bump in and hopefully, take over, for lack of a better term.
No, I mean, that's really it, man. I mean, it's like I said, it's your game to lose. So it's you have that first mover advantage, and I think you would find, especially across other partnerships and stuff, that the loyalty aspect at play, right? So if get the integrations done, everything's working well. There's something to be said for that, kind of going through that process with you guys. So yeah, I like I said, man, I'm excited to see you guys get mainnet, and for us to have our decentralized Oracle solution stood up with Indigo. That's it's coming, and I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. I see some of our own community members in the chat here, Fluffy and Crypto King. So thanks, guys, for supporting our partners here as well with Indigo. So I'm gonna let you guys keep to it. Just wanted to say hello, show the support, and talk to you later.
Cool. Thanks for being here, man. Take care.
Yeah, thanks, Damon. We'll hop over to another question. Did Indigo, or through the CDA, how much contact did we have with IOG and Charles?
Yeah, those are a great question. I would say a lot, particularly with the CDA. Cody and I, Robert had already left town, but Cody and I had dinner with the Cardano Foundation, their executive officer of strategic partnerships, as well as the Andrew and some of the other folks from that lead the Plutus team. So that was an exclusive kind of dinner to advance the idea of collaborations, not just with the CDA and IO, which are ongoing, but CDA and Emergo, CDA and Cardano Foundation. We also met with Atala, the product lead for Atala, Tony Rose. He actually came over to my place on Saturday before we went to the VIP show. I think that was kind of invite only thing, but nonetheless, we were there. That was good to just really communicate and strategize with these folks. And I think really where the interest was with the success that the CDAs had coming together so quickly with so many brands and so many on the sidelines waiting to join once we open re-enrollment. There's an idea in the ecosystem now that once we have a multitude of alliances in the various verticals of development, that we will have sort of a working group of alliances. Tony at Atala is interested in setting up like an SSI alliance. We have the NFT Guild. We have the CDA. CDA has really pioneered this alliance concept, the idea that a lot more can get done, the power in numbers concept. So I think we've really kind of set the tone for alliances across the board, which I think is fantastic. It's the way we really advance not only this ecosystem, but as we begin working with other alliances and other chains to really advance the industry. That's ultimately the long-term trajectory of these alliances, is to ensure that we can help shape policy from a congressional standpoint, that we can help shape really what cross-chain collaborations look like, with the heads of these alliances kind of steering those initiatives. So just kind of see that this seed has been planted in other verticals and other areas of development through the other dApps, NFTs, you name it. I think is a really great thing. So just our communications and meetings with IO and the Plutus team, with the Cardano Foundation, extremely productive. Now we're first name basis with folks and communicating with them regularly. I've actually sent Charles a note late last week, forgive me, to propose a CDA hosted Twitter space in the coming weeks after the Vassal hard fork is done. So I think that's something that we can look forward to having on the schedule soon. As you know, Charles is extremely busy, but just to get him on a space with us and kind of keep talking about the CDA's collaboration with IO and across the board, I think it'd be really great. Because Charles, at the meetup that Wednesday night, to kind of open consensus on all the events, I mean, he's constantly talking about the CDA, which is great because there's a lot of expectation that the CDA can advance development with Plutus. And that's exactly what we're doing. But it starts with education. It starts with content. So that's an area of focus of ours right now. But just to continue expressing the value of an entity like the CDA and other ones similar to it in whatever respective vertical they're in, I think it goes a long way. So we're looking forward to the collaborations.
So we got another question not related to consensus, but for decentralized voting, are there any services that Indigo plans to adopt in the long term?
Yeah, so
Yeah,
in terms
okay,
of,
I guess.
you want to go ahead,
Go ahead,
Cody?
Robert. Oh. Okay, I'll go ahead. Indigo, we are very excited because we've been, kind of building our governance from scratch. So we spent a lot of time working on a solid governance package. We worked really closely with our legal to make sure that, this is really truly decentralized and that regulators will be satisfied with the decentralization of the Indigo protocol. So we have kind of like a two-phase governance system. The first phase is through a temperature check, and it's kind of like an informal community-wide check of, if I propose this, how will the community feel, and get like the community feedback about a particular proposal. And then the second step is actually the on-chain governance voting. So you would actually submit the proposal on-chain. Now, basically, there's templated proposal types, such as like whitelisting an iAsset, delisting an iAsset, text proposals, updating protocol parameters, etc. These are all different types of on-chain proposals that we have that the community can use their Indy to vote with or vote on. So we aren't using any external services. We considered Agora, we considered working with ADAO, but we've been pioneering kind of our own governance package that is pretty unique, and we're very excited to show the community how it works and kind of presenting our idea of decentralization and governance to the community.
Yeah, to expand on this, so we looked at all the existing solutions and evaluated those. Cardano is still very young, so there's not a whole lot of code that we can reuse. Like as Cody was mentioning, we looked at Agora, we looked at ADAO, and these are options that we can reconsider in the future, but at this stage, they don't fit within our governance needs, but we can look towards them in kind of borrow from their ideas. And as new projects come onto Cardano, we can consider implementing those. But really, we've built our governance from scratch because when we started building Indigo, there wasn't any other project that we could rely on. Like a DAO and Agora are fairly new. So we looked at how governance was done on other protocols and other blockchains. And I think we have some pretty exciting things that community will find interesting. In particular, we've implemented a dynamic voting system. So instead of having a static quorum, we will determine vote success or rejection based on how many people are participating in the governance. So the more people that participate, the higher votes of yes that well, the lower the yeses that are required, because we're aiming for 51% majority. But if there's just a smaller group of participants, then we want to have that percentage of approval to be a lot higher. And then what this allows us to do is like have really dynamic governance and not have votes just fall through based on inactivity, because not everyone is going to be an expert in every voting matter. So we expect like the iAsset votes to be pretty popular and a lot of people will be participating in those, but then there could be some protocol parameter votes that are a bit more mathematical inclined, that not everyone will have expertise in participating in. And so we wouldn't expect the entire community to vote. Maybe we would only want, or maybe only a small subset of the community will vote towards those particular issues. And in that case, we want a large majority, so much higher than 50%, to be in favor before we approve that initiative. And there are some other ideas that we're going to be implementing in the future. In the first phase, in V1 of Indigo, we're introducing DAO moderators to help aid the process of managing the governance. In the future, we're going to be enhancing this capability to kind of have a two-phase system to allow, just like reduce the spam that could inflate other governance systems. So if you look at other protocols, a big problem they have are spam proposals. They have proposals. There are some few vulnerabilities that are present in other protocols where there could be a really important vote that would be going on, but then other proposals will kind of spam people's time and energy and locking up their voting tokens and preventing the important vote from going through. We're going to be implementing this kind of two-phase system to help moderate that process, and we're baking into our constitution and our voting procedures very specific guidelines and processes on how to actually do a vote. So we have 8 different types of votes within Indigo, and we have a specific process for each of them. and our moderators are going to be enforcing that the rules are followed specifically before they are able to be voted on by the DAO members. So that, when it comes to implementing something like a mathematical change, we want to make sure that the rules are followed, so that vote, that proposal has mathematical backing, so that people can't just vote based on what they feel, or do emotional voting. That you have to go through a specific procedure that has valid reasoning behind it, because we're expecting, or we're building Indigo to be managing billions of dollars of assets. So we want to make sure that we have a governance system that's going to stand the test of time.
And I think on that note, Robert, we talk about considering future governance packages, but the level of customization that our hand-rolled governance has for Indigo's needs, it would have to be very compelling for us to consider, or for the community at that point, rather, to consider forklifting, our customized governance solution for something else, let's say Agora or whatever else comes in the future. I think the governance solution that we've built, hand-rolled for our needs, excuse me, is so tailored to our specific needs that it would have to be extremely compelling for the community to want to adopt a new governance package. That's just my opinion. We'll see what comes out there from other people out there developing and around tooling of governance. But for us, I think we're thrilled with the governance that we've built. And for anybody who's interested to take a look and do some recon on your own as to the dynamic voting that Robert was alluding to, that's called adaptive quorum biasing. I believe it's Polkadot that we took inspiration from, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a proven successful model with AQB. So we're excited to roll that out. I hope I didn't give too much information there from the product team on that. I think it's okay at this point to express what we're building, but I know we haven't released any documentation on it. That's coming soon to the community. But yeah, for anybody interested as to do a little research as to what we're talking about there, I just thought I'd give a name drop.
Yeah, that was a great answer on governance. So for everybody else, we've just got less than 10 minutes here left for questions. So, drop in the chat your last minute questions. Otherwise, we'll start to wrap up here in just a few minutes.
Maybe a quick mention. As a lot of you all saw yesterday, we did a server clean out. We apologize for the consistency of spam. I think we were all getting it. We had CAPTCHA set up on the server, try and put as many protections as possible. I know some of you have probably gotten irritated in the past by putting out a hi or a what's up kind of message and the bot deletes it. But we're really trying to have a clean server with quality content. And so we apologize for the spam messages everyone was getting. So in our effort to clean that out, I think we wiped close to 6,000 profiles that we believe were bots. Not everybody, probably. So if somebody got spun up in that was not a bot, we apologize, come back in. But yeah, so I think, that's just in an effort for us to really kind of remedy that spam issue that some of us were experiencing. So we apologize again about that, and hopefully this clean out will help that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've already started getting less DMs, so I think it's doing its job. We'll probably have to do another one of those, some months in the future as we continue to grow.
Yeah, probably. I think at one point we were close to 20,000.
Yeah, to kind of give some.
Yeah, go ahead, man. You're good.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to give some insight to the community, our growth was very suspicious. Around like midnight, we get roughly around 1,000 new Discord members, all showing very similar behavior. And so they figured out a way to bypass our CAPTCHA system, and then they would just spam the rest of our community members with NFT offers or other spammy giveaway type offers. We've gone back and forth on a few different solutions, and so last night we had about 250 bots come through. So that's a dramatic improvement, because at our peak, I think we had like 2,000 bots coming in overnight. One of these days, so we have a lot less bots coming through. We've made a few more tweaks, so we're hoping to get those bots down to be even lower. Hopefully, we don't prevent real humans from joining. We don't want to make it difficult for you guys, but these bots are getting smarter, and we don't want them to keep spamming you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody give their applause to Robert. He was the one that coded this. So thankful for him to guard our borders a little bit. All right. It looks like we're not getting many other questions here. Somebody did ask, would it be feasible and even cheaper to consider Milk Meta for on-chain-ish governance?
So I guess Milkamita, it's a sidechain for Cardano. We are building Plutus native, Cardano native protocol. That is our focus. We want to stick purely on the layer 1 of Cardano. So we need a governance solution that works on Cardano and not for the EVM second layer, Milkamita. Also, as we were saying before, our governance package is really tailored specifically for Indigo. There's a lot of kind of UTXO specific matters we need to take into account that wouldn't really fit well on an EVM model. There are Indigo specific features that we have to consider, because there's not a whole lot of synthetic protocols out there. And so we kind of had to custom design a little bit. So, what might make sense for a DEX governance system doesn't necessarily make sense for a synthetics protocol like Indigo, especially when our focus is on complete decentralization. So we've taken inspiration from other protocols and other blockchains, but ultimately we've had to design a lot of our governance ourselves, and that's why we can't really rely on other existing governance packages, especially on Milkamita, which isn't native to Cardano.
All right, perfect. Well, I think it's probably safe for us to go ahead and wrap this call up. We're thankful for everybody that showed up today. Hopefully you're all surviving out there in the bear market and simultaneously enjoying some of the content we're putting out, like our infographics and the video we put out recently. We're going to keep up activity in the Discord, of course. All you guys are killing it and asking great questions, and we're appreciative of showing up to the call today. We'll probably do another community call in about a month's time, and we'll announce the topic probably about 4 or 5 days before to give everybody some heads up. But unless anybody else from the team has anything to say, we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Love you all,
No.
guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, just echo that sentiment. Appreciate all you all being here and attending today. Hang in there. So, have a good day.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.